No more fucking around. It's Wild Style Radio. Wild Style Radio.
Stand up and shout.
What is up? And welcome to the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show, coming to you live from Salisbury Center Studios in Manassas, Virginia. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Happy Wednesday to you.
Happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
Been a couple weeks.
It's been a couple. Well, it was my fault because we were both traveling
We both traveled.
for our day jobs.
Had some, the paying jobs.
The paying and to Florida, really to the same state.
Yep, you made it there, and I did not.
I made it there after the snow.
After the snow.
When Florida had snow, you were there.
Was there
Kinda.
snow in Orlando, though?
No. It was beautiful. I was there.
I bet.
It was like kind of classic Orlando in January.
Yeah. So they had 11 inches of snow in Panama City where I was supposed to go, and Panama City has this like isthmus island or whatever, but a bridge to go in and out.
Yeah.
And my company's office is on that island, and so the bridge was closed, and we had guys that were doing work with us, and that's why I was going down there to meet them. There was everything shut down. There was no food, no McDonald's, no nothing. They ate TV dinners that they got from Target.
Ooh. I mean,
Brutal.
you got to eat what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, damn. You were like in survivalist mode on your company travels.
Yes.
That's kind of funny. Hey,
Yep.
so like that, have we talked about that Typo Negative tribute that was here?
Nope.
Because you weren't here that night.
I was not. That was right after the last show we did.
And oh man, I should remember the name. What?
Dead Again.
Dead Again. That was it. Yes. They were fantastic. And I forgot, like, I got to confess, I have not listened to a lot of Typo Negative in a long time.
Right.
And that was like one of those acts I was watching of, oh yeah, that song. Oh yeah, that song. Oh yeah, that song. And they crushed it.
Well, and that's what you were texting me and talking about how good it was. And the biggest thing for me, as knowing Typo Negative, is Peter Steele had a very distinctive voice.
Absolutely,
So I asked you, I'm like, does he sound like him? Because why be a tribute band if you can't sound like him?
I know. Well, I threw some reels up, like on our social media.
Right.
So if you guys want to see what I'm talking about with Dead Again and how good they are with covering Typo Negative, like you can see it there. He sounded fantastic. Yeah, it was good. That was a great show. That was not to say I thought it was going to be a bad show, but it was a much better show than I thought it was going to turn out to be.
Yeah.
And then like the lead in, the sound man evidently left an open soundboard when we're in the spot where I was watching it from.
That's a bad idea.
It was an open soundboard with a hot mic.
Yeah, that was you did like 4 songs. You did Stone Temple Pilots, did Chili, and there was another one you did.
I did Little War Pigs.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
It was a hot mic, man.
You rolled through your entire set.
There's little Days of Five happening, little Days of Five action going down. Like, yeah.
Well, War Pigs, good lead in because there's been a lot of news lately.
Okay.
And
I was going to say, I didn't know where you were going to go with news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of tasty morsels of things that we've talked about
Absolutely.
that have come through.
Yeah.
So today I guess was the announcement that Ozzy is there. He's doing a farewell along with the other original members of Black Sabbath.
Do you have an applause sound effect, John, on a word? Because Kevin made a bold prediction on the last episode that something like this would happen, and lo and behold,
it was kind of like shooting fish in a barrel.
Your third eye was glaring, not the one, not the one that John might be thinking of.
Yeah. So, but I think we have the graphic. I shared it with John. Maybe we can throw that up.
It's a hell of a lineup.
It's going to be a hell of a show.
Yes, that's like a dream lineup.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So
Birmingham,
July the 5th.
not Alabama,
No.
not Birmingham, Alabama. This is Birmingham. I guess
where the band originated
horrible
from.
British accent. Birmingham in England. So and closing with Black Sabbath.
Yep.
So I mean, you have Black Sabbath and Ozzy announced. I'm interested to see how much Ozzy, and especially in his physical condition and his health with Parkinson's,
Right.
how he's going to be. I'm sure he's going to give it everything he's got for the last show.
Yeah.
Between doing his solo stuff and then into Black Sabbath.
But put that back up for one quick second, John.
Metallica.
There's a glaring missing artist there. And I'm a little disappointed because we thought we would potentially never get the big four back together again.
I was about to say it was going to turn into a big four show then.
And yeah.
So Megadeth.
Dave, come on.
Megadeth. So Kevin,
you
is
gotta
missing
be
his
there. But I love Halestorm.
That's to me like the best curve in the whole thing, the most unexpected curve. Yep. So even like you could say that about Gojira, like they would be to me a bit of an unexpected curve, but like with the Grammy that they just won for best metal performance and
congratulations.
Yeah. Like it makes sense to like throw them into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then there was the guest performances too, which means I guess there's going to be people coming out at different parts.
I would think so. Kind of like they did at his tribute at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Or like the Taylor Hawkins tribute for the Foo Fighters, you know, when people were coming out and performing songs.
Yeah. So I sure hope, you know, obviously since it's in England.
July 5th, by the way.
Right.
So the day after July 4th.
Right.
Saturday. It's a Saturday because July 4th is on a Friday
Hopefully
this year.
it's a streaming event that
I know. I was hoping the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was like, that was crossing my mind.
Yeah.
If we can't get to Birmingham, then we'll have to watch from afar.
Yes. And then, you know, we talked about this on the last podcast, in addition to our predictions, of which that was the first of them that hopefully they all come true. But, you know, we asked the question when we were talking about the Ocean City Festival.
Boardwalk Rock.
We're like, where's M3?
Right.
And then
M3 was announced.
Yep. And we have that lineup,
right, John,
which is
okay. So like, I'm going to be a fucking dork about this. I hate the logo. Like I can't get beyond, like to me, has M3 ever had a good logo?
No.
You know, like
they had the race car or the hot rod. Was that last year? It was kind of okay.
Yeah, it's better.
But, I mean...
The jukebox?
Last year's lineup we thought was pretty solid for M3.
Yeah.
I think this one blows that one away.
I'm with you. And so, like, I think the big screaming thing... By the way, we have not talked about this, ladies and gentlemen, so you're seeing fresh conversation between Kevin and I, because we really haven't seen each other in several weeks.
Yep.
So it's the Stephen Pearcy, Warren DeMartini. For me, it's those two reuniting and playing Ratt songs.
It's going to be awesome.
Right. And better than, I mean, I don't know, will it be better than Stephen Pearcy showing up and playing all of Out of the Cellar last year?
Well, why not do it again?
Oh, I know. So,
it would be the 41st anniversary. But.
I'm interested also in David Lee Roth as a headlining act, and that he won the prime headlining spot for Saturday night.
Well, you know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you know, his answer.
Yes.
And I don't know who's going to play with him.
Yeah.
But his answer to what Sammy did last year.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, and that is exciting. So that is 2 weeks prior to Boardwalk Rock.
Right.
I'm going to guess there's going to be probably a lot of overlap in the audiences between those two shows.
I would think so.
Yeah.
And then the other one, obviously, Lita, she's played a bunch, but the one that I was really excited to see is our friends in Spread Eagle.
Yeah, I know, right? So Spread Eagle, who performed here at the Salisbury Center about a year ago.
Yep.
Who was great guests on the show. We'll have to catch up with them about that because I'm sure they'll come back on and talk about that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's just pretty jammed. I mean, the couple opening bands I think are more local folks, but you know,
right?
Who's Ace Frehley?
I like Soundcheck Rock. What is that? Is that just like they're just playing some
Maybe they're going to leave an open mic.
I'm down for that. I'm absolutely down for that.
And then Sebastian Bach, that's going to be pretty killer on the Friday night too.
Sure. Yeah. So right, I think I agree with you.
Snake Oil. Wasn't that the skit? Snake Skin.
Snake Skin. Yes, you're thinking Saturday Night Live.
That they repeated that this past Saturday.
Yes. So. Hey, and by the way, so like in terms of a rock doc, and I don't know if you've seen it, but Saturday Night Live did its 50 years of music performances as a precursor to the 50-year anniversary.
I came in on the tail end of that, and then I recorded it. I haven't gone back to watch it
It's
yet.
fantastic. Yeah. There's really good like throwback stuff there.
Yep.
Yeah. So Snake Skin, not Snake Oil. I don't know Snake Oil. Like that's a new name to me, so I don't know what to say there. I mean, it's interesting that Friday's like such a small set. Like they don't have 2 or 3 bands playing.
Sure.
As opposed to, well,
I
they have
mean,
2.
that
but
used to
2
always
more.
be Kix' spot.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it was interesting. Yeah. And then, we love to talk about Dirty Honey. Mm-hmm. And they're releasing a live album here in 17 days.
Right.
Mayhem and Revelry live.
Great title.
It is a great title, except I thought they should call it Mayhem, Revelry, and the Ponies. So I'm a little disappointed that, Dirty Honey wouldn't talk about the ponies from the last tour in the title.
It is Rockstar to bet the ponies and never having bet the ponies and then turn around and win.
Yeah.
Make kind of a blind bet, Charlestown racetrack, and then boom, like that bet comes in.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe since they didn't want to include that in the title, maybe they owe us and they can come on the show.
Stand Up and Shout Rock Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've had some interaction before that we have a good reel of them betting on those ponies.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
yeah, let's get Justin and John and Mark to join us.
Sure. The whole crew.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. And then I guess the last thing I was thinking of news related. So we did was it a What Are the Odds, or when Aerosmith announced their retirement, one of the greatest rock and roll bands in U.S. history. Mm-hmm. And then now Steven Tyler came out and did a little performing.
Fantastic news. I would never have predicted that. Like going back to the rock predictions, and you got your prediction about Ozzy, right? I would never say that. I wasn't really sure. Maybe Steven Tyler might make maybe this is just his small appearance, but it was really good vocals for, oh my goodness, Toys in the Attic.
Yep.
Yeah. So great vocals on Toys in the Attic and with Nuno Betancourt.
Yep.
Yeah, playing guitars on that.
And James Lomenzo and Matt Sorum.
Yes.
Was on drums.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was kind of rumored that it was going to be a mini Aerosmith reunion with Joe Perry and Brad Whitford being part of that group, but unless they did more than just that one song.
Yeah.
Eddie Trunk was the one that posted the video that we were sharing
Yep.
of them doing that. So that's on Facebook. If you search Eddie Trunk, you'll be able to see it if you haven't.
Right.
But it was I was shocked how
great.
good he sounded.
He looks great too. I mean, he looks healthy. It's not that, I don't know, he has a killer set of hair or something like that. He just looks genuinely healthy. He looks like he's in shape to be a lead performer.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Give me a second. I got that video. I'll pull it up right now.
Cool.
Okay.
Very cool. The other thing I'll say while John pulls up the video, happy birthday, Duff McKagan.
That is right.
It's Duff McKagan's birthday today. So we could be obvious fans of Guns N' Roses and Velvet Revolver. That are just, to me, 2 outstanding bands.
Yep.
But I will say, in terms of our podcasting kind of influences, I love his 3 Chords in the Truth show on Ozzy's Boneyard, Sirius XM.
Yeah, it's one I'm usually listening to most weeks when it rolls out.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, they play good music on that show too. So happy birthday, Duff.
Happy birthday.
Here's Steven.
And here's
somebody's phone went right in front of the phone that's recording this.
You ready for this? We need your voices. Here we go.
this is different.
Oh yeah, this is more than words. I have not seen him do more than words.
There's a few different videos I just found.
Yeah, he did.
Even better?
Yeah. So when we saw this with Extreme, remember all the 50-year-old men crying? I wonder if there's 50-year-old men crying on this one.
No, we're making some badass.
Right.
Sounds good.
Does sound good. Sounds great. It's good to see him. Great.
That's awesome. Makes me happy to see that.
John, have you ever seen Scarves on a microphone stand like that?
Yeah, there's one band that comes through here, like something on fire. Yeah, check it out. I think they grab hot mics randomly.
Days on Fire.
Good call, John. Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. We getting into the meat of today's discussion.
Why not?
All right. Let's go and do it. So we're like in the beginning somehow of February of 2025. And we like to roll back and talk about great music that's happened over the course of time. Sometimes we roll back 40, even 50 years, but today we're only going to roll back 30 years.
30 years.
To
Yeah, and so we talked about
1995 for those of you that are still doing the math.
Yeah, for us youngsters, that were around when
I was 4.
when the when the hair metal scene was kicking up. This is a good time for us because we're going to talk about 1995. So 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But 85 is right in our wheelhouse.
Yes.
But now we even have 75.
Yes.
Where we were youngins, but definitely with older stepbrothers.
Sure.
I was getting turned on to a lot of that stuff.
Right.
So I think we've got a lot of opportunities to bottoms up and talk about
great music over great times. Okay, so I will say that I liked we went back and forth about the years, and you let me select 1995, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel like it's a transitional year. That's what I like about it. Grunge is dying off.
Yep.
And at the time, you don't know what's going to happen next. And I feel like probably in some of your picks, you're going to see the formation of new metal. New metal was really kind of finding itself in and around this time.
Sure.
Wasn't there yet, but there was the birth of that genre.
Right.
Slowly evolving.
Yeah.
In this transitional year. So, there's still the influence of grunge, but then it's also, changing at the same time. And Kurt Cobain is gone now, right? He was April of 94. So that's really kind of in terms of looking at the landmark of grunge when Smells Like Teen Spirit blew up in 91.
Right.
To, his passing in 95. It's not like grunge didn't exist any longer. It just certainly changed and dampened in 1995.
Well, sure. And in the 1994, Korn, which was one of the first kind of new metal bands. Mm-hmm. So they were the start. But we're certainly starting to see more of that.
Exactly. The momentum building into that genre.
Sure.
I saw John, the horns went up. John, you might have some opinions on this.
Yeah, you're finally in a wheelhouse that I can
I love it.
throw something in on.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
This kind of
there we
wraps
go.
up
Love it.
Woodstock 99 and
Yeah. You never talked about Woodstock 94. We missed that 30 years ago.
yeah.
We did.
But
I just think about the Korn coming out on Woodstock 99, and I forget what they open with, but I mean, just that video and that sea of people just.
Are you ready?
Yes. Blind. Was it Blind?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so we're in order, right?
We are in order.
We're gonna go. We're gonna give you our 10 best, and 10 best in descending order. So 10 to 1. We're gonna debate. Kevin's usually wrong. So just keep that in mind as we're going back and forth. So there's one person that's usually right, and there's one person usually wrong, and we all know who that is.
So we can see the beginning of each of our lists.
I see that. Okay. Look, I went pop culture there on my 95.
Okay.
That's not so John, if you throw my title up there, and I'll throw it back up, these are no way going to influence the albums I'm talking about. I have Seal, Alicia Silverstone, and Mel Gibson. You can't get more pop culture than that.
No.
I feel Tribe Called Jess running in the door right now to talk about those 3 folks from 1995. Whereas Kevin,
mine is a mixture of albums all released in 1995. Some will be on this list, and a bunch will not.
You were true to the genre.
I feel like you picked movies for the most part, and then Kevin stuck with music.
I mean, Seal.
Okay, Seal the one, but the 2 out of the 3 are movies.
Yeah,
Braveheart and
Braveheart, and then I guess there was Clueless.
Yeah,
I'm going to say that looked like. But she was a video vixen. She was in all those Aerosmith videos.
She was.
So there's a lot of ways you can go with that.
All
right. You ready? I'm going to get my number 10. Enough of that nonsense. All right, my number 10. One Hot Minute, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Wow.
Look, I got to admit, I'm not a fan of this album, and I'm a huge fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, so I struggled with put this even on the top 10. I think that that might mean that reaction is lower on your list. So this is the album with Dave Navarro, infamously.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Dave Navarro and Jane's Addiction. And I love John Frusciante and Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't know if I like them mixed. You know, so that's why I struggle with this album. There's things I like about this album. And I say that's a great Red Hot Chili Pepper album, and I listen to it. But if we were going to bottoms up our Red Hot Chili Peppers album, I would not have that very deep in my list. So
that would be your Saint Anger.
Yes, this could be my Saint Anger. That's from Metallica. That's a great way to put it. Like, I still like I wished I remember, and maybe I haven't lost this feeling yet. When this album came out, I remember being excited for it because Dave Navarro played on this album, and I was expecting something different, and it didn't happen. You know what I mean? I was expecting something more exciting, and it wasn't. In fact, like, I feel like this is a very sad album. Like, the tone of it's very like moody and depressed, and it's not the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The party Red Hot Chili Peppers that came around up until that point.
Well, and it was the album after Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yes, exactly.
Which it's like, that's really, I mean, we were fans of them before that.
Yes.
But that is the album that put them on the map.
Yeah.
So it's like, how are you going to top that?
Right.
It's
right.
Like it's not Master of Puppets.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yep.
So that's why I have this little, I mean,
Okay.
I'm acknowledging it. It's one of my 10 best of the year. I would say that. So that, and we listened to a lot of great albums that year. But,
Yeah. Okay.
But I just couldn't.
I
couldn't.
expected it to be a little bit higher on your list.
I'm still a little heartbroken. I mean, there's great, Aeroplane's a great song as an example. Like, there's great tunes that are on this, but there's just, it's not the style of Chili Peppers that I love.
Got it.
All right.
Okay.
I'll shut up.
So for me, I had like a 10A and a 10B, and I really couldn't decide which way to go with it. So I got 2 at number 10.
Look at you.
I broke the rules.
Oh man, look at you! You did. You pushed. You pushed on a bet.
So I
basically.
had Van Halen, Balance, and Collective Soul.
The Van Halen Balance is an interesting pick to me. Like, pairing that with Collective Soul. Like, so.
Well, they're different.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's again,
That's
from
easy.
a Van Halen perspective.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one or the other, but this was also Sammy's last album, so that's where I was kind of.
It's easy for me to cut it. I gotta admit,
Yeah.
like, I am not. Because you could tell, like, to me, I guess the disjointed relationship between Sammy Hagar and Eddie Van Halen at that point. Like, you felt it in that album,
Right.
Yeah.
And then the Collective Soul album is a great album.
Of course.
It's interesting that people refer to it as their first album.
Yeah.
Because it really was their second.
I love it.
And but it's a great album, but hints, allegations, and things left unsaid, which has Shine, which is probably their most popular song, was on the independent release that they financed, that then Atlantic, when they signed them, ended up reissuing.
Right.
It. But still, this was their second album, and everyone's like, constantly gets referred to as their debut album.
I'm love that you brought up Collective Soul, because I feel like that's in some ways strangely a forgotten band. I'm not even sure, like, I have to admit, I haven't followed them. I would love to see them. I would see them on a tour in and around here. It's almost like, I feel like that's grunge's Foreigner.
I was going to say that they're definitely an underrated band,
right?
Especially from that time period that, they kind of get not enough credit.
Right. Yeah. They're almost like a hard rock grunge band with a pop sense to them.
Yep.
And they have a ton of hits on that album.
They do.
That's another album. I think if you have not listened to Collective Soul, you would roll back through it and say,
I remember that song.
Right.
Yeah. Gel.
Right.
December.
Yes.
And I can't read my small print on my notes, but
Let It Shine.
Let It Shine.
Is that my?
The World I Know,
the world I was thinking,
and Where the River
yes,
Flows.
That was it. Yes, yeah, The World.
Yeah, those were the singles from that album.
Right. So there's 4 top 10 hits off of that album. Almost like, again, like Foreigner 4. You have a lot of hits on that album that all of a sudden you listen to it again and be like, wow, I'm surprised they didn't get more, like, I don't know, like almost the heavy metal that came around and the glam metal, like, overshadowed it, like in that time. So. Yeah. No, I'm totally with you with Collective Soul. You want to keep going?
I can go.
All right.
So we're going to keep it thrashy now. Anthrax.
That's very you.
Stomp. 442. Good album. Good follow-up to Sound of White Noise, but not quite to that same level.
Which was a genius album.
It was.
Yeah.
And I loved John Bush as a vocalist.
Love him
both
still.
with Armored Saint and the stuff he did with Anthrax. And this was also the first album when Danny Spitz wasn't with them anymore.
That's right. That's
so, but very underrated Anthrax album from my perspective.
I'm with you there too. All right, for my number 9, I got It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere from Slash.
Okay.
Slash's first solo effort. So it's, I guess you can call it, he's not calling himself Slash yet. This is Slash's Snake Pit. This is where I personally go with the Guns N' Roses saga. So like it's almost like the Van Halen, David Lee Roth camp in some ways, where you have Slash leaving the band and reforming something like Slash's Snake Pit. And then you have Axl holding on to the name of Guns N' Roses, but ultimately it turns into an Axl Rose, solo band,
right.
As he's turning Chinese Democracy into whatever that turned into. So obviously I'm not a fan of that album.
Well, and, he had Gilby Clarke with him and he had Matt Sorum with him.
Yes.
Duff didn't come until a little bit later.
Yes.
But, it was interesting. We talked about James Lomenzo playing with at the Steve Tyler event last week. He's also was part of this group.
Yes.
And obviously was with White Lion. Mm-hmm. He just keeps popping up.
I know, right? I know.
He's like becoming 6 degrees of James Lomenzo. And now he's playing with Megadeth.
Yes.
So, but I love that album.
You know what? And you turned me on to this album. You were like, check out Slash's new solo album with, I guess, really his band Slash's Snake Pit at the time. Eventually, obviously, moves into Velvet Revolver. And then from Velvet Revolver into Slash, just calling it Slash. And he was putting out solo albums. Right. But to me, it's always been, to me, I still say, the sound of Guns N' Roses resides with Slash. And then, of course, it solidifies and sounds better with Axl Rose. But all the same, like these are great albums. And I love, there's a song on here, Beggars and Hangers On, that I still like listen to all the time. And when Miles Kennedy performs it with him now, as with the Conspirators, fantastic song.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Want me to go again?
Sure.
All right. So number 8, Astro Creep 2000, White Zombie.
Okay.
To me, this is like signature White Zombie, right? This is the Beavis and Butthead White Zombie. This is more human than human White Zombie. Kevin's getting a call. Is that Rob Zombie?
Sounds like Morse code.
It looks like it might be Mark LaBelle. No.
So like this is right before the band broke up of White Zombie, and he went solo. It's a solid album to me. In that way, it was shocking. News didn't travel as fast as it does because the internet wasn't what it was in any kind of way back then. So I was expecting, since it's such a strong album, I was expecting a follow-up to it, and it just didn't happen. But of course, the Rob Zombie solo album's fantastic too. So
they were great, and that was their 4th album, like you said, their last one. Mm-hmm. It's a huge White Zombie fan. Mm-hmm. Even they did that cover of God of Thunder when we were working at the radio station. That was really, really cool. And more human than human. That was a big one for him. Yep. Obviously, it was the follow-up to La Sexorcisto.
Yes,
Volume 1, which had Thunderkiss 65 and Black Sunshine. That was a great album. So I was very disappointed that they kind of splintered and went.
It's a great band. I mean, and Rob Zombie's a great act still to this day. It's not like he's not bad as a solo artist, but White Zombie was fantastic, man.
So my number 8, I had One Hot Minute.
Oh, you were higher than me. Look at that, man. I would never guess you would have charted Chili Peppers album higher than me.
That's why I was like, I thought this is where the first argument was going to start.
It kind of did in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I'm just a little heartbroken. I'm just heartbroken over that album. Still am. Yeah. All right. Well, then, like along those lines.
Well, and I can go ahead and I'll go to number 7.
Okay.
Because that's where I had Slash.
Okay. Nice. All right. Yeah. Yeah. We were close there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I brought it up first. Anything I leave out on that one?
No. I thought it was great. And, obviously, he took the heart, I think, of Guns N' Roses with him. Like like we were saying, and he just has kept building on it. And it's great that they're back together now, but they keep saying there's going to be an album, but
Right.
it may take longer than Chinese democracy.
Right. Right. Well, my number 7, Kevin, I think we're really kind of in the same ballpark. Even though that we're not like 100% aligned, we're pretty damn close. I mean, I'll have us like down at number 1. It's not super controversial, but
Okay.
Collective Soul, Collective Soul. You know what I'm noticing on this list, by the way? There's a lot of self-titled albums. Like I'm just,
Yes.
maybe that's foreshadowing into what I'm about to bring up. But there's whatever reason, 95 was the year to like self-title your album.
And it didn't matter which album number it was.
Right. Yeah, right. That's very true. Yeah. But yeah, so like again, like the Foreigner of grunge, like just great, solid rock songs with a strong pop sensibility, and just a good sound, man. Great voice. Everything about Collective Soul, you can't dog in any kind of way.
Nope.
All right,
Good stuff.
All right. So what number 6?
6.
All right. Is this you or me? Wait a minute. Did I skip?
Well, mine is up.
Yeah, you skipped one.
Did I?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. No, I didn't. No. Okay, I'm good.
Yep. What about it up? Well,
All right. I know where I am. I got. I think I see you on your screen, John. There's all these screens in here.
So, yeah, my number. Well, there's one. That's you. My number 6 is Primus, Tales from the Punch Bowl.
So this is going to be controversial, and you're probably going to be surprised at this because I'm such a Primus fan. I don't have that album in my top 10.
No.
I don't. I don't know why. I guess maybe because everything else I have on the list is better. Maybe that's my honorable mention.
Okay.
Yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Good album. Obviously kind of, well, I mean, Jerry was a race car driver from the album prior to that, kind of put them into the MTV world and a little bit more popularity around them. But then the video that came out for Wynona's Big Brown Beaver.
Yes, that's
right. The big one from this song or
Yes.
this album. So, just good stuff.
My story about Wynona's Big Brown Beaver was, because now we're in the time of HF Festivals here, which was a local alt-rock festival that held in D.C. and, big stadiums, RFK Stadium at the time, where the Commanders, used to be the Redskins, used to play. And Primus was midday, and they were late, and there was some controversy, I guess, with the band getting out onto the stage. And Winona Ryder was dating David Byrne from Soul Asylum.
Oh, right.
Or Soul Asylum. So it was when they were together, and evidently Winona saw Les Claypool backstage and gave him hell and smacked him for writing a song about her Big Brown Beaver. So he comes out on stage and he was like, I just had a little tussle with Winona Ryder, who thinks this song is about her. Evidently, she thinks he's the only woman on the planet that's named Winona. And then he kicked into the song. It was awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, and this album also marked the beginning of what seemingly a trend with Tim Alexander.
Yeah.
Which he left the band after this album for the first time.
Right.
And now going on round 3.
Yeah. All right, John. So my number 6, I'll say what you're flashing up on the screen. I have the Pumpkins, the Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. I'm looking right to you. There we go. So double album, a lot of hits off of this album. But again, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and maybe this is what I'm saying about 95, like coming off of grunge, I still consider the Pumpkins a grunge band from Gish and Siamese Dream, and I love those 2 albums. So when this rolled out, I like a lot of songs on this album. There's solid hit songs on this album. 1979, an obvious example of that. But I missed the sound. I missed the raw power that was alive in Gish, and a little bit, maybe less so, more pop sensibility in Siamese Dream.
Right.
But I love those 2 albums so much that this, and I know that other people had problems with that to the extent that Billy Corgan lashed out against it, right? Like that we're allowed to do whatever we want. If we wanted to take a more pop stand, we could, and we can change the sound into whatever we want. But still, at the same time, the art was the art that you fall in love with. And I probably would have charted this higher if I was talking about one of those two other albums.
Well, and that was kind of a trend, right? Because at the same time, Metallica was getting dinged on quite a bit for, changing their sound and evolving, or however you want to describe it. But yeah, not quite, a little bit more pop to what they had been doing.
Right. I mean, we have a friend, Jimi Hendrix. That is his real name. He lives for this freaking album. So I'm sorry, Jimmy. I know you would have it as your number one, but you're wrong.
All right.
All right.
So my next one, I forget where we're at number wise.
I know. I think we're at 6.
I got a debut album, Deftones.
Okay.
Adrenaline.
All right. I know. All right. So I don't have this either, and I love the Deftones. This is, again, the formation of that new metal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just listening to this album again. So, obviously we've talked with our friends Cursor.
Uh-huh.
And I was just really hearing the similarities between their band and Deftones. But yeah.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Yeah, no, like I still go to White Pony, and so I'm comparing everything to White Pony. White Pony hadn't been invented from the Deftones yet, so but they were building there, right? So it's in a classic debut album, great sound, but they hadn't formed the sound as much as they would in the later albums. So that's probably why I omitted it off of mine.
Can I say I missed the album artwork?
Yeah,
you just don't see this anymore. It's whatever that the booger thing or the enema thing. It's just hilarious. I mean,
right. No, you're right, John. I mean, I feel like when you stream, you're lucky to get some little small icon, right?
Usually it's a looping video of something 6-second part of either a concert or something that loops. You missed that.
Right. And because it can I don't know, I don't know if that you're right. I don't know what you call that booger thing. The nose cleaner.
Yeah.
But it kind of
snot sucker.
Yeah, which kind of it puts an image to what you're about to listen to, even before, if you've never heard it, where's that going to go?
Well, then I was listening to a podcast today, and they're talking about album artwork, and then how some of the album artwork would have rolling papers, or they'd have these little extras in the album thing. So it's a thing that it's a real connection that's missing.
Yeah,
with the streaming.
It was tangible.
Yes.
Even in the era of cassettes and CDs, you still, as I was listening to albums, you had the liner notes.
Right.
And a lot of times it was the lyrics, which was cool. But I used to love to read through the liner notes to see, what they're going to say about somebody or something. Felt like you were getting a little bit, there was no internet back then.
Right.
So you were getting a little bit more insight into the band.
Consistent published message, right? So you can look up something on the internet, and obviously it's not going to be what was put out by the band or is even true.
Right.
So it wasn't the case with the liner notes. The liner notes were published by the band, and everybody was receiving the same information.
Right.
Yeah, there was a benefit to it.
A bulb syringe is what that is called.
Oh, nice.
Or a nasal aspirator.
Yeah. Oh, you looked that up too?
No.
I've
used those.
I was about to say, Grandpa.
You should have probably too.
All right, my number 5. I know you have this. This might be controversial for you because I know you have it charted higher, above Mad Season.
No, I don't have that one.
What?
I know.
What?
I know.
That is stunning. That is that. I am floored over that. You were again another album that you turned me on to. Supergroup, by the way. And that's kind of weird too, because a lot of supergroups don't work. But what a great combination. Of course, Lane Staley,
right? And it was
fronting this album,
and it was the end,
right? It was, yes,
it was the last thing they recorded.
Is that why? Is it a little sad for you, Mike McCready? By the way,
it's playing guitars. A little,
And it is a dark album,
but
it's a darkly beautiful album. And when I say dark, it's not an angry dark album; it's a melancholy dark album. So there's just a lot of good. I wouldn't call them ballads, but slower paced.
Well, it certainly paints a great picture of where he was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At that time in his life, right before he, unfortunately passed.
Yeah, yeah. I am that Kevin is stunning for me.
So my next one, that's where I had the Pumpkins.
All right. Yep.
So
yeah. And great pop songs.
No, I agree. And they had a lot more success and became even more popular. Yep. Tonight, and
1979, probably the two biggest songs off that album.
Which is interesting, that it kind of, maybe it was purposeful, but I was reading, you mentioned it was a double album. So it had 28 songs on the album.
Yep.
And they recorded 56.
Right.
So it's like, you would have thought there may have been a few more tunes more in the Gish and the Siamese Dream mold.
Right.
But they just purposely axe them.
Sure. All right. I know you're not going to have number 4 that for me, and it's an album that I love, and I just went and saw her. It is To Bring You By Love by PJ Harvey. And I thought this was such a bitchin' grunge album. This is like, there's a breath of strong grunge that came out of 95, before it really kind of passed on and moved into nu metal. This was one of the ones that like held true to it. And I'm the title track, To Bring You My Love, is dark, and the hell that PJ Harvey will go through to bring you her love, and it's painful. It's like it is bearing the cross, like of hardship of love. And it's just such a cool message. And she was such a cool hip chick. And I loved seeing her. I saw her back. I was watching her at 930 Club a bunch, like in this day and age. And just such a great shrine. Down by the Water was her biggest hit, and came off of this album. And back in the days also of a local radio station, 99.1 WHFS, that was certainly putting this album and a lot of these songs in heavy rotation. And so I just really fell in love with this album at the time and have it higher on my list all the way up at number 4.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so Pumpkins was my 4.
Mm-hmm.
So 3, we've already discussed.
I thought you guys were going to bust my balls about that. So
I had White Zombie, Astor Creek 2000.
Because it's a great album. It's a great album.
I'm good.
Yeah. You're so nice and kind, Kevin.
Yeah, so that's 3 for me.
All right. Are we at 3?
We are. Well, I was.
At number 3 already. Well, then it gets me to number 3, I think. Yes. Unless I counted to 11.
Your order is completely off on your PDF you sent me.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I don't know what to say about that. Yeah. Well, I should have numbered.
Fire the art department.
I know. All right. Alice in Chains. So following Dirt.
Yep.
The follow-up to Dirt, I think, is, again, another strong, great follow-up. I'd say it's a great Alice in Chains album. Great cover art, by the way, John. Like, since you're bringing that up, too, the 3-legged dog on this one's just like a great image, coming out of this one. But
Jar of Flies was in between, but that was just an EP.
That's correct, too. Yes, sorry about that. Yes.
But, yeah, self-titled,
another self. Here we go
album
again.
number 3.
Right. Yeah. So, so there's just a lot of great tracks. I think good, solid, hard rock tracks on this album.
Yep.
To go back and find again. All right. That's your number 1.
Nope.
I have Lane Staley up here twice between Mad Season and Alice in Chains.
They're number 2.
Oh, look at that. We are kind of there. I love it.
Yep.
By the way, okay, so I'm going to point out like the colors, because you could get different colors.
You could. Yep.
Right. So you have the white, album cover. I had the yellow, but I remember there was a blue and I think a red one also.
Yep.
So there was different hues that you could pick up and
the
buy.
one that the actual CD I have of it is the yellow one.
Yes.
Like you had.
Yep. Yeah. So sorry about that.
Yep. All good.
All right.
Number 2, Heaven Beside Us, just again, like you were saying with Mad Season, pretty dark.
Yeah.
And they were both released relatively close to one another.
Uh-huh.
This was released, I forget the date, but the Alice album came out and then Mad Season came out.
Right.
But they had done the MTV Unplugged.
Yes. Yep.
Which was, I think, his last performance with Alice in Chains, and then they did release that.
That's pretty. I mean, now that you're kind of like painting that picture, it's very true. Like there was kind of a hectic flurry before he passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. With all of those releases in a short period of time. All right. Very cool. My number 2, you're not going to have, but like, I just have to do this because, and you're going to hate it. You're going to probably throw rocks at me at this one. If you didn't throw rocks at PJ Harvey, you're going to throw rocks at me now. All right. So I have Tragic Kingdom from No Doubt.
Wow.
All right, look, and I'm going to tell you why. Because at one point in her life, Gwen Stefani was a badass. At one point, this was the point when she was a badass. And I'm not going to Don't Speak because, you know, people are probably going to go there first. That is the number one song that's off this album. And I will say that it sounds to me like a Madonna song. I'll be the first one to admit it. But you also have like some great badass rock ska tracks on that, like Sunday Morning, that might not necessarily be, you know, a more noticeable hit, but it's a super strong ska rock, almost like where Fishbone should have like extended in their career a little bit and got more popularity. They kind of picked up where Fishbone left off. I like ska. I like, you know, and I like the punk mix that was here for Gwen Stefani. This was also the HF Festival where she got up like midday. I think they were the second or third act in. To me, they stole the show that day. Of course, Just a Girl's on this album, and Gwen defiantly like fronted that crowd saying, "I'm just a fucking girl." And it was not the Gwen Stefani that you're seeing on The Voice now. She changed, she evolved, whatever, good for her. But there was once a badass rock and roll version of Gwen Stefani that I appreciated. So I'm giving her love. And this second album, for me, like lining up to number one, I feel like we might have the same number one for
If we don't,
1995.
I'm going to be very disappointed.
After me throwing up Tragic Kingdom.
Yes.
You did the thing, you didn't even argue, you just glared. You did like the dad thing. It's like pure disappointment. What were you going to say? Were you going to say something, John? Because you were like...
No, you were talking about songs. I was going to say Spiderweb is probably one of my
Exactly.
favorite ones.
Yeah,
There
right?
you go. You guys
Another
can
strong
you guys
That
can
one gets
relate
stuck in
to
my
it.
head all the time.
Would you say that that is a strong rock song specifically?
Sorry, not really.
I mean, it's got pop to it.
Yeah, it's no. I wouldn't. I'm going with Kevin on that one. I like it. I like it, but I just don't. I wouldn't be like, oh, that's a great rock song if I was to list off a top 100.
Well, look, I wouldn't put Spiderwebs there myself. Like I said, I like think the strongest track on this to me is Sunday Mornings. But like, I don't have like Lou here because I know that he would really be like probably blasting through the studio to strangle me for putting that up there. But
Pull your
again, I
teeth
go
out.
to that. I go like she was a cool ass rock chick back in this time.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna reveal number ones at the same time because I think it's the
We
same.
might as well.
I'm gonna see where this goes. Yeah, buddy. I knew it. I love it. I knew it was gonna happen.
How could it be anything but?
Exactly. Right. I don't know what happened with John's order. He found it.
There it is.
Right. I mean,
Come on.
it's the legacy of grunge. Like even if grunge died, say in 96, 97, and new metal then just really kind of mowed over the landscape, the Foo Fighters are the living legacy of grunge. And this was their first album that introduced that to the world. Very, to me, a surprise album at the time.
I don't think anybody would have expected Dave Grohl to do this.
Right.
And what he was doing. And it was interesting, you know, the stories that he's talked about, that he was writing some of these songs and some others that he released on an EP where he was just writing songs and was kind of holding on to them because he said he never felt that they were good.
Right.
Or that, they could be Nirvana tunes.
Right.
So
not intended. I mean, the Foo Fighters weren't even formed as a band at this time.
Right.
Like, played a lot of the instrumentation.
He did it all himself.
Exactly. So he did that, and he put it together as almost a demo, for lack of better words, that other people started listening to, and it gained traction because people liked it.
Right.
And it formed into an actual album, and I don't think that there was any expectation that it would have turned into the band and the legacy that it turned into.
No, there's no way.
So
and that's and he even said, there's a quote where he's like, I just thought this would get released as the Foo Fighters, and that would be that, and nobody would know it was me.
Right.
And then it just blew up.
And infamously has said, I wish I picked a better name.
Right.
Yeah, I got a quote from it on Livewire. He goes, after Nirvana, I wasn't really sure what to do. I was asked to join a couple other bands as a drummer, but I couldn't imagine doing any of that because it would just remind me of being Nirvana. He told Classic Rock Magazine when I was young, someone played a Clark Kent record that Stuart Copeland had done. I thought how cool that he could make a record that people could listen to objectively because it wasn't Stuart Copeland from the Police. It was Clark Kent. That's kind of what I wanted to do. There were some songs I recorded in my friend's studio while Nirvana was still a band, and an independent label in Detroit wanted to release something.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah. So I mean, it's such a great story. It's almost with time, and so much has happened in the Dave Grohl camp, especially recently with tragic news, around him, and unfortunate bad news for him. You kind of forget, like, he's been through a lot before, and it's kind of a miracle that the Foo Fighters are even in existence.
Yep. And it just keeps the cycle of just bad things keep rolling around.
Right.
Some of them caused by himself, but not most of it.
Right. And then hopefully we see that same resiliency, right? Like that's what this Foo Fighters album was, that like you didn't have to roll over after Nirvana, that you could pick up, move on, do something different and be successful at it. So props to this album.
Yeah. Good stuff. Great album.
Yeah.
Still
look at that
heavy play.
So it was my number 2. It was not the number 1 that was the most controversial for you.
No.
I left off Anthrax and put on No Doubt.
Oh well.
I'm guilty.
So, the other thing, when talking about the Ozzy farewell tribute show, that's something that he would be at.
Yes.
And
yeah, you're right.
That's kind of sad too, because
right.
I don't know, maybe he shows up.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Good stuff. Good picks, Kevin.
Same.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. We got a couple advertising some live music coming up. We got a couple of shows here at Salisbury Center. Mm-hmm. February the 21st is a Friday night metal night with Fellowship, Kill the King, Sun Against, Artemis, Ranger, and Rise My Dead Quest. I think is what it is.
Wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah. And then again on March 7th, another Friday night metal night, Division and Sound of Thunder, and a couple others to be announced. So
cool.
Come on out to the Salisbury Center, check out some music.
Yep.
And I can't remember the date, but we were talking about it before the show. There's another night of tribute bands.
Yes.
Primus tribute band will be here at Salisbury Center.
Yes.
So definitely go to the Salisbury Center website, check it out, come out and hang out with us and catch some live music.
Absolutely. Sounds like a good time. And if we don't get together beforehand, we possibly could be here Friday night metal night, or we'll be at the next Stand Up and Shout Rock show on 2 Wednesdays from now.
And we will be at Jerry Cantrell
on
Friday night.
Yes, Friday night.
The Fillmore.
Yeah, Jerry Cantrell and Filter.
Yep.
Yeah. Looking forward to that show.
Good stuff. That album, his new album is awesome.
Yeah, no, I like it too. Yeah.
Cool.
John, do we leave anything out from 1995 from your experience? You were excited about this.
Yeah, no, you guys got all of it covered.
All right. Nice.
We should have asked you to put your top 10 list together.
I know. You should include me. I'd be happy to.
All right. When we go to 2005.
Scott takes over and does 2010 when Nickelback when Nickelback make his debut.
Shots fired.
That is peak Nickelback era. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, guys. Great show.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
See you
Stick with this. Is she talking?